Hello everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Night Live Card Class with Independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator Teresa Harper, located in Sheridan in the United States. And I hope that you are having a fabulous day. Mine has been rather busy, but then that's the way it seems to go. So, we'll wait a few minutes and see who jumps on. We're going to feature the By My Side stamp set tonight. For the second card, I will be using Beauty of Friendship along with By My Side. Hello, Laura and Jennifer. Thank you for joining me. Hope you guys had a good day. All right. I've got, let's see. I have got one sketch card and one fun fold for you tonight. Hello, Elaine. Thank you for joining me. So happy that you're here. I'm going to wait another half a minute or so and see if anyone else jumps on. And then we'll get started. As a reminder, next Wednesday there will be no Facebook Live for me. We're going to head out with a group of stampers on Friday morning, and I won't be home until Wednesday afternoon, so I just can't get everything back together and get the live done. So I'm just not going to stress myself. So we'll take a week off and then we'll get right back at it. All right, let's go ahead and get started. The By My Side stamp set is a standalone stamp set. There are no dies. And both of my cards today don't require, well, one of them I guess does. Does it require fussy cutting? Yes, it does. But the other one does not. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to, our first card has a card base of Pear Pizzazz, and this is 5.5 by 8.5. And I have run this through the embossing machine with the Twigs and Sprigs embossing folder and die. Although I did not use the dies, I just used the embossing folder. This comes as a set, and you cannot get the dies and embossing folder separately. They come together, so, but we're only using the embossing folder today. So we're also going to be using the Stylish Shapes dies. We're going to be using the second largest circle in here. And then we're going to be using the layering circles dies, and we're going to be using this scallop, which is actually, I think, the second largest. I've already cut those pieces for you to save us some time. And then we're also going to be using the tailor-made tags dies, and we're going to be using the little tag for a sentiment. But that one's not cut yet. We're going to have to cut that because we're going to resize that. All right. Then we've got some Mossy Meadow ink, and we've got some Stampin' Blends so that we can color our little image. And finally, we're going to bling it up with some fine sparkle, with a fine sparkle gem, I should say. All right, so those are our supplies, along with, let's see, I've taken the basic white and I've cut my circle, and Calypso Coral cardstock and cut the scallop circle. Then I've got a piece of basic white that is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8, and that's for the inside. And then I've got some pieces of the Forest Friends Designer Series paper. This one is a 1/2 inch by 4. This is 3/4 by 3 1/2. This pattern is 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. And this pattern is 2 1/4 by 5. Okay, so we're going to need all of those. And then you're going to need a scrap of basic white. Or, never mind. No, you're not. We're going to stamp right on our circle. Lost my head for a second. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get our little girl from the By My Side stamp set. And we're going to stamp her in Memento Tuxedo Black ink because we're going to be coloring her with the Stampin' Blends. So I'm just going to ink that up. And just going to stamp her down here. And I'm watching to make sure that my butterfly and the girl's hair stay in the circle. So this is a very tight fit. I'm going to hold it there for a second and let the ink soak in. All right, there we go. Now let's go ahead. We do need a scrap piece of white. So I'm going to take a scrap piece of basic white. And while that ink is drying, I'm going to see if this one here that I have just laying right here was going to be white enough for what I need. Yes, if I stamp this just so, it should work. Okay, so we're going to take the Sentiment Hi Sweet Friend and Mossy Meadow ink. I'm going to ink this up. And I'm just going to stamp this down like so. All right. Then I'm going to grab my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss. Move these other things out of the way so that we can bring that in. I'm going to open that up. We're going to get our plates. I've got the number 3 plate, number 2 plate. Then I'm going to take my die and I'm going to put it on here with the sentiment to the left. But I want to make enough room here for... I'm going to do this just about like this. So I want to be able to add my gem on here. And I'm going to Post-it tape that in place. Then I'm going to put on my top plate and I'm going to run that through. Okay. And that was a little bit longer than I wanted. So I'm going to put my plates back on and I'm going to slide my die down. And because this has the piercings in it, I'm just going to line those piercings up right in the track. Okay. And you can feel that. And I've got to make sure that I get that far enough down that my hole here does not cut into my cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tape that together. Put that back on my cutting mat and run that back through. And now I've shortened my die, my tag, to fit my needs. Okay. All right. So that one is ready to go. So we can set that aside. And now we can color. All right. So we're going to start with So Saffron, and I'm going to put a little bit of dark at the edges of the butterfly wings there. And then I'm going to fill it in with the light So Saffron. Kind of blend those together. And then I'm going to go with the dark Calypso Coral. And I'm just going to dot around the edges to give that a little definition. And I'm only dotting because the area is so tiny that I don't want it to bleed outside. So I'm just barely touching. Okay. Now we're going to take that dark Calypso Coral again. And I'm going to put a little bit of dark in the girl's dress arm there. And then on these artist lines here and a little bit there. Just to give that a little bit of definition. And then I'm going to color the rest of it in with the light Calypso Coral. Okay, so that's done. Thank you for sharing. Hello, Tracy. Thanks for sharing, Jennifer. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the light Flirty Flamingo, and right below her eye here, I'm going to put some light Flirty Flamingo for a blush on her cheek. And then I'm going to take my SU 900. This is from the Natural Tones, and it's from the Light collection. And I'm just going to color in her skin areas. Okay, and I'm going right over the top of that Flirty Flamingo. And I did the Flirty Flamingo first so that the cheek will blend and I won't get any alcohol lines. Then we'll do her feet and one little hand. Okay. And then for her hair, I've used SU 200 and 300. Now with the natural tones, the lower the number, the darker the color. So I'm going to put a little bit of SU 2000 in to start with. I'm just going to swirl some color in here. Then I'm going to go back with my SU 300. And I'm going to finish coloring in that hair. That will give her a little bit of depth in her hair. Make her hair look a little more realistic because, as we know, nobody's hair is just one tone. Okay. And there we have our little girl. Okay, now we're going to add her to our Calypso Coral circle. And let's see where I put my Stampin' seal. I didn't put it, oh, there it is. I'm like, I didn't put it back. It's not in the drawer. Okay, so we're going to add this to our Calypso Coral Circle. Like so. And then we can start assembling our card. Because once we get that part done, it's actually pretty easy. Just going to take my bone folder and burnish my score line. And because this is embossed, I'm going to use some liquid glue to adhere my layers. So I'm going to take my 2 1/4 by 5 inch piece. And I'm going to try and give it an even border on 3 sides. Give that a good press and try and get that glue to move. Okay, then next I'm going to take my 2 1/4 by 3 3/4 inch piece. And I'm going to adhere this down. Like so. This is a good way to use up some of your designer series paper. Okay, so we've got that. And I'm going to take my, this is from Gingham Cottage. This is a 1/2 inch by, should be 4 inches. Again, I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue, and I'm going to stick this up so that I can see the bottom of my last piece that I've adhered on there. I want to see that little skinny piece at the bottom. Then I'm going to take this piece of the Forest Friends, 3/4 by 3 3/4. And I'm going to add this right here, right against that one. Okay. And I'm going to turn over my focal image. And I'm going to try to get that that dimensional off my finger there. Pull the backings off the dimensionals. And I'm going to adhere this right here. Okay. Then I'm going to take my sentiment and I'm going to stick this up here like this. Going to add my fine sparkle adhesive back gem, and these are Calypso Coral, so that's what we're going to use. Although I think you could make them use Sweet Sorbet or just about, they'll coordinate with a lot of the orangey and red colors. So there we've got that like that. Now we've got one more thing to do to the front. And I don't think I've got that out. Well, we're going to take the Mossy Meadow braided linen trim that's in the clearance rack. And I'm going to add this bow with a glue dot. I'm just going to pop that right here. Okay, for the inside of the card, I've stamped "Thank you for being part of my life" in the Mossy Meadow, and I've added a 1/2-inch strip of the Forest Friends paper, and I'm going to add this to the inside. Like that. And then I've stamped the little dog from By My Side in the corner and colored him. And there is our first project finished. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What was I saying? You cannot finish this without having a little bit of Linka Stella on her dress, just for a pop of sparkle. And then I'm going to put just a little bit on the yellow of the butterfly. All right, now our card is finished. Okay, so let's clean up and we'll start the next card. I'm going to pop that out of the way. We're going to need the SU 900 again, so we'll leave that here. Pop these in the basket. And let's get the fine sparkle gems out of the way. Whoops. And here we are. Okay. Get Mossy Meadow put away. So I don't think we need that again. All right. Okay, so for our next card, we are using By My Side and Beauty of Friendship. And this is going to be a fun fold. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to grab those supplies. We're going to need some soft suede, crushed curry, pear pizzazz ink. We're using a piece of the metallic and shimmer specialty paper, thanks to Tracy. She gifted me a few pieces of that. We've got a card base that is, let me grab my notes, 6.5 by 5.5. So this is the 6.5. This is the 5.5. And this is actually scored at 4.25. Okay. So we did that on the long side. All right. So there we go. Then we've got a piece of soft suede. This is 4.25 by 3.75. And I've scored it on the short side at 1/2 inch. I'm going to go ahead and burnish that down. Okay, so we've got that piece. Then we need DSP, and I'm using the Cajun Craze and Pumpkin Pie from the Metallic Shimmer. And this piece is 2 by 5.25. And then this piece is 3 by 4 inches. And I've got a piece of very vanilla cardstock for the inside that is 4 by 5.25. I've cut from the seasonal labels dies in very vanilla. I cut the large tag here, and that's what we're going to be stamping on. And then I've got a scrap piece of paper to stamp my images on. Okay? And of course we've got our envelope. So let's go ahead and get our stamping done. And again, we're going to be using Memento because we're going to be doing some coloring. Now, You do not, absolutely do not have to stamp and fussy cut these if you don't want to. They will fit on that label. In fact, let's go ahead and, yeah, I'm going to stamp my label first, and I don't need the memento for that. Let me go ahead and stamp this one. Get this on. So we're going to stamp with Pear Pizzazz. And let me get my tree out here. So we're going to stamp the less detailed tree from Beauty of Friendship. I'm going to stamp that in Pear Pizzazz. Okay. And I'm going to stamp that right up here near the top. Okay. And then I'm going to take crushed curry and I'm going to ink up the detailed stamp in crushed curry. Okay. I'm going to take my Pear Pizzazz Stampin' Right marker, and I'm using the, let me ink this up, get it good and wet. I'm going to get this out of my way. I'm going to use the brush tip, and I'm going to put this down, and I'm just going to turn my stamp, and I'm holding it at the back. Let me see if I can bring this in so you can see how I'm holding it. I'm just going to thump that down. Then I'm going to take some pumpkin pie, and again with the brush tip, I'm just dropping this back. And then I'm going to take Cajun Craze, and I'm going to do that one more time with the Cajun Craze. And then I'm going to breathe on it and re-moisten the ink. And I'm going to place that down over my first image, lining that up as best I can. Set that down. Let the ink soak in. And now I have a very pretty fall tree. Okay. Then I'm going to take the tree image, and I only want the top part of this tree. I don't want all these branches. So I'm going to take my soft suede ink, and I'm just going to set that down and ink it up about like that. Okay. And then I'm going to line this up with the tree top there. And I'm going to set that down. And now I've got a beautiful fall tree. Okay. Now this is where you could, if you wanted, you could easily take your little dog and just stamp him here and color him. And you could take your little boy and stamp him here and color him. But I want them to have a little more depth so they look like they're out in front of the tree. And before I do that, I'm going to take my Pear Pizzazz again. And I'm going to take the ground from Beauty of Friendship. And I'm going to take this. I'm going to put it underneath my tree. So my tree looks like it's sitting in the ground. And then I'm going to stamp some more ground and some more ground. That will give my dog and my boy something to stand on. Okay. And now I can take, and I'm going to stamp these. So I'm going to use Memento, stamp down my boy, let that ink soak into my paper, and my dog. I'm going to do this too. Okay, now as a point of reference, let me clean this real quick and I'll show you what I've done. Because this dog and boy are actually one stamp when you get them. Okay. So what I've done is I've taken them, they came like this. Okay. And all I did was turn them over, take my scissors and cut them apart. Now I can easily put them back together and make them one image. Just like that, and they would be how they're supposed to be according to the stamp. But by doing a little bit of stamp surgery and cutting those apart, now I can use my little dog for whatever I want without having to mask him off from the boy. Okay? So don't be afraid to do that. There's plenty of room between these two that you don't have to worry too much. Okay, let's go ahead and get these images colored now. So for my little puppy, we're just using bronze. And I'm just going to color that up. Put a little extra deep color here. Color this. It's pretty simple coloring for the puppy. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for a minute. And then I'll come back. I'm going to let that dry. I need the soft suede that I had in the other bucket. Oops. That we used on the other card. What did I do with the soft suede? I thought I had it. Oops. Oh, I guess I didn't pull it out. Okay. So for this one, my soft suede is a little bit lighter. I'm going to take my bronze and I'm going to go from the middle of his head here. And I'm just going to give some little swipes out. Okay. And then I'm going to take my light soft suede. I'm going to color in his hair. That's just going to give a little bit of definition to his hair. Okay. And again with the Flirty Flamingo, right? I'm going to put in some cheeks. Go in with the SU 900. I'm going to color that in. Okay. Get his arms. And I'm just going down to the ankles on his feet. I give him some soft suede shoes. Okay. And then we're going to take the light and dark soft suede and do his shorts. Light, and dark. Just going to put a little bit here, a little bit under his t-shirt, and a little bit right there where there would be a shadow. And then go back and blend that all together. Okay. And then for his t-shirt, I've just used Dark Daffodil Delight because when you use the Dark Daffodil Delight, it looks quite similar to Crushed Curry. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit for a minute. I'm going to go back to my dog. And I'm going to put in with the bronze a little bit of shadow here. Okay. Just to make it a little bit darker. Give him a little bit more definition. Okay. And then he needs a little bit of basic black for the tip of his nose. So we're just going to dot that in. Then I'm going to go back with the Dark Daffodil Delight. Go over those lines there and leave that. Okay. Then I'm going to need to fussy cut these two pieces. And I've already done that. You don't need to watch me fussy cut. Okay. So we're ready to start putting our card together. So we now have all of our pieces. Okay, so we're going to start by taking our card base, and then we're going to take our other piece of soft suede with our 1/2 inch score here, and then we're going to put some liquid glue on this little flap here. And then I'm going to lay this up right next to the edge of my card. And try to center it up. Okay. Give that a good press. Okay. I'm going to add my designer series paper to my card and do that with some Stampin' seal. Oops, did I run out? I might have. I know this one is very low. And I'm going to put my dots up at the top. Oh shoot, did I not cut this down? No, it doesn't look like I cut it down enough. This needs to be 5 1/4. Let's see what we've got here. That's not going to work. For some reason I am too... Yeah, I cut 5 1/2 instead of 5 1/4. Okay, well this one looks like it's the way to cut because I don't have the adhesive up there. Okay. All right. All right. So now I can take and add my designer series paper to this piece, centering that up. And then we're going to add this to this piece that we added to the front. And yep, I ran out. Okay, I'm going to use liquid glue. I need to refill that. And then we're just going to put this down. Okay. Now we're going to take the inside piece for our card. And I've already stamped the tree here. And I just did that second generation. Okay. So what you should do is do up your stamps. And you have to, I did the same thing with the envelope. So I inked up my stamps and I used first generation on my envelope, and then I used the second generation on my card inside. Okay. So now I'm going to take this, and I've got my inside piece here, and I'm going to lay this in here for now. I'm going to center this up, and I'm going to close my card, and I've got this small piece right here that I'm going to take my sentiment, which says thinking of you, and I'm going to stamp it in this little area. So I want to look at this to see how it's going to be and where I need to put this. And I'm going to put this right down in this corner, and it will just fit. But I've got to get that clear at the edge. So we're going to do that in soft suede. If I can figure out what I do. There it is. I covered it up with my tree. Let me move these pieces. I'm going to ink that up. I'm going to pull this down. That looks like I've over inked. So let me get a piece of scrap paper. Okay, that looks better. And then I'm just going to stamp this in the lower right corner, like so. And then I'm going to add this piece to the inside of my card. Okay. I'm going to center that up as best I can, but before I really set that down, I'm going to check to make sure that my thinking of you today is going to fit in there. Okay. All right, so we've got that and this. Now we need our focal image. So we're going to add this to the front of our card here, and we're going to overlap it. So I'm going to make sure that I don't put any dimensionals past this third scallop here. So I'm going to flip this over. And I'm going to put my scallops here, just double and triple checking because I don't want to glue my card shut. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. Get those, and I can put this in place right here, like so. I feel like I'm going to need an extra dimensional right here. And I'm going to put that down. Like so. And then I'm just going to add my little boy and my little dog. And I'm going to do that with some liquid glue. Actually, no, I'm doing that with glue dots. Hang on, you guys, I made these cards last week. So I designed them. So I'm going to just take, I want these to stand out a little bit, but not too much. So I'm just going to take some glue dots. That'll give me a little bit of depth without going crazy and needing extra postage. Okay, so I'm going to put my little boy down here, and it looks like he'll be walking in the grass here. And then I'm going to take my little dog and I'm going to add him to the front. Put him on our other little piece of grass. So he's following behind this little boy. All right. There is the front of our card. And when you open it up, that's what you have on the inside. Okay? And then here is the matching envelope. All right, let's throw these out of the way. I'll bring back in the first card we made so you can see both of the projects. And maybe you'll decide that you need to have the By My Side in your collection. Now, if you didn't see last week's, I also did a Halloween card with the By My Side and the Witch Hat Builder Punch, so that you would have some extra ideas to use this for. So, oh, I'm glad you like the cards, and I'm glad you like the fun fold. It's really a pretty simple fun fold to do, but it does pack a little bit of wow. So, all right. Well, I hope everybody has a great week coming up. And some of you I will see on Friday at the Country Crop House. And remember, it'll be 2 weeks before I'll be back live. All right, everybody. Hope you have a great night, and thank you so much for supporting me and for joining me on these lives. I couldn't do this without you, and I'm so very grateful. Good night.